Welcome to Realtor Talk with Steph and Kel.
Hi.
Still working on that intro.
I'm Stephanie.
I am Kelly Dugan. And today, what are we bringing to you guys today?
Oh, well, it was kind of your pick.
This one was my
Maybe your
pick.
second pick, but wink, wink.
It was my second pick. Wink, wink. Okay, so we actually are going to talk about the art and science of pricing your home. So there's so many variables, so many factors that go into this. And I do want to go over kind of how we handle sellers that are super unrealistic when it comes to listing their house. And basically, we're here to give you the cold, hard facts. At the end of the day, you list your property for whatever number you'd like, but we'll tell you what happens when you're off.
And I'm here to give you all the sayings that I say at listing appointments because I am literally turning into my mother and I have a saying for everything in life. Shout out, Susan.
One that I specifically remember from you is the new girl on the block. This is one of the first listing appointments I ever went on with Stephanie. This was one of her analogies to sellers, which is honestly something that's so true and that I use to this day. It's like everybody, it wants to know, like, okay, you're the new girl on the block. You have one impression, one chance to make your first impression on the market. So the first time that consumer sees your house on Zenlist or Zillow or wherever, that's your first impression, and it doesn't matter how many price drops you do or changing around of photos that you do. They've already seen your house, and they're probably going to scroll past it the next time.
100%. You get one shot at a first impression. Just like when you go to a new school, if you can be acting up, people are going to remember that.
Think about the outfit you wore on the first day of school and how crucial it was. That is how crucial it is to
price appropriately.
Yes, price appropriately. So let's start with what are the factors that determine price?
Go, Kelly, because you're the one that has the outline.
I mean, when I say outline, it's like that sentence I just said, factors, and then me and you are just supposed to banter, maybe?
Okay.
Not banter. I mean, I
Okay.
have a few things. Obviously, I'm very organized and type A in the sense of to put all of your facts and info of your house right there in front of you. How many bedrooms and bathrooms you have, square footage, your location, your school districts, all of those things. You want to know what you are selling, first of all. And then you want to take into consideration the properties around it, recent sales, comparables, comps that are the most similar to your home in the sense of bedroom, bath count, all of those things. What do you do, Stephanie, in a situation where a house is really unique and there's not really an exact comp just like it?
You're screwed. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I want to behave now.
Stephanie is not she's not in the mood today at all.
No, I'll be fine, guys. No, I mean, back to what you were saying, it's obviously the comps are super important. Seasonability. So what time of year is it? I mean, now things are going to be fetching a higher price than they were in December, depending on who you're competing against. And to answer your question, if you have a very unique property, I mean, there's a lot of things that I like to do to try to figure out what the perfect price is on that home. But we all know I'm a huge fan of the private network. And so if I have a really unique property, the seller and I have a very open, honest discussion about where we see the value at. And if it's something that I have a question mark in my head and, I have no problem testing that price out in the private network to see, okay, hey, maybe the seller's right. Maybe they have this property that's going to sell at X price. I don't have a crystal ball, and I'm the first to. I think there's a lot of agents out there, and this is a huge mistake that sellers often make. They might interview a few agents, and they might pick the agent that gives them the highest price. Quote,
such a mistake.
Which is such a rookie mistake, I want to say, on a seller's behalf, because we don't control the pricing. We don't control the market. And I always like to tell my sellers, and actually Kaylin was laughing at me describing this yesterday, if a home doesn't sell, not to sound arrogant, but it's not because of me. Because I know,
I agree.
I know that if there's a marketing dollar to be spent, I spend it. If there is, professional photos, professional brochures, advertising, word of mouth,
And I was
you
gonna say,
name
word
it.
of mouth, me and you are like, we are actively in the market. Like,
Hello, check us out.
There are agents who, like, you know, maybe don't really have that many communication or that many relationships with other agents. Like me and Stephanie are just like busy bees all over this office.
Yes, I mean, busy bees. I heavily network with tons of people.
Yes.
And that's why, again, it sounds arrogant, but it's true. If a home doesn't sell, it's not because of me. It's because of the market and the price. We can't control the interest rates are right now. We're still over 7.
Right, exactly. And also something that I've done in the past before to kind of, with Unique Properties, is host a broker's open for feedback.
Oh, that's a great idea.
That's a good one. Basically, a broker's open is an open house, but for agents only. And I have you have the feedback form. So that's also a good idea to see. I mean, realistically, we're going to, whether you have to take adjustments from a house that is kind of similar, but not exactly, me and Stephanie are going to know, I feel confident in saying, the correct range your house should be in.
Correct.
And I think that, I mean, I send over all feedback, obviously, whether it's positive or negative. And I think that asking around and kind of almost softly marketing it amongst agents and kind of getting a feel for it, I think that's a really good way to find out with Unique Properties. But with not Unique Properties, you have to look at also the economy. You have to look at supply and demand. I mean, I know that, for instance, if we look at Lincoln Way School District, they're going to look a lot different than 10 miles down the road in Joliet.
I just want to emphasize that right now. School district is so important.
Huge.
And because there are people that literally, you have to compare apples to apples when it comes to school district.
Yes.
And I mean, I have sellers that are solely focusing on their property when it really is so important to think about your location and your school district. Because if you are not thinking about those things, you are missing out on a huge portion of buyers that are going to say no to you simply because of your school district.
Exactly.
So if you are cutting your audience in half, that's going to affect your price or your time on market, which ultimately impacts your price.
Yeah, like for instance, there's Frankfort has 2 school districts. I'm not going to take a comp from 157C and use it for 161, right? Mm-hmm. Like you just, I mean, I guess in certain situations, they appraisers sometimes are forced to go outside of the normal parameters. But for the most part, let's just talk about how it's standard usually done. Just say that we're sitting down, we're looking at the comps, everything. We're looking at your neighborhood specifically. We're going to look at what they have and you do have, or what you have and they don't, and you make adjustments. You want to look at their market time. Like, okay, yeah, they sold for $600,000, but how long were they on the market and what was their original price? Seeing that data gives us a feel on if it flew off the shelf with multiple offers and a ton of interest, or it sat for a while waiting for a decent offer to come around. So those things too, like looking at market time and everything like that.
I concur.
Anything else you want to add in there?
Another phrase that I literally always say when I'm at a listing appointment is that market time is your biggest killer on your price. I'm like, I cannot say that enough.
Yeah.
And again, I know we already touched base on how important it is to price correctly out of the gate. But it is important to listen to your realtor and say, if, for instance, you're in a certain area and you have the nicest, most expensive home in that area, it is important to look at, okay, even within the last 24 months, let's say, what's the highest price home to sell in this entire town, right? If there is no home in your town that sold at that price, it's going to be a very difficult home to sell.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day,
I know it's coming. I know what line is coming, and it's a good one.
Go ahead. I'm going to let you finish it.
Your home is worth what someone is willing to pay for it.
Yeah, I always say that. I go, because I could literally spend $1 million in my basement. I could come up with stuff to spend $1 million, like golf simulator, movie theater, bars, maybe multiple bars.
Yeah.
But if I don't have a buyer that's willing to pay that premium for my home, then it's not worth that.
Yep.
Your home is only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. End of story.
This brings me to another point too that I wanted to touch on. When a seller says, I want to leave room for negotiations, I just had this conversation the other day. So the beauty of working with agents who work with both buyers and sellers is that we are oftentimes in the buyer's shoes and buyer's agent shoes. So what I was telling my client the other day is I'm like, the buyers right now that I'm seeing, if they see a house go up that's overpriced and out of their budget or what have you, they're not going to be like, oh, okay. Like they're almost so frightened from the past few years with this crazy market and bidding wars and everything that they're like, I'm not going to jump on it right now. Whereas if they see a house that's priced right and in their range, they're going to be like, let's go see this today and let's fight for it almost, versus getting scared off the bat because it's overpriced and they're anticipating you to get multiple offers at that overpriced price, even though we know you won't. But that's kind of what I say to sellers is, do you have a very, very strong chance right now with the market conditions, the time of year, everything, that you can get multiple offers on your property. Right. However, you are only able to cherry pick through these multiple offers if you list accordingly versus listing really high and just hoping and praying for that one to come in 5,000 under ask and then you'll accept it.
Right. And I just want to add in how, because I have heard this from a few sellers this year. Well, I don't get why somebody's not just coming in and offering me X price. You know, we're not like that far off or, something like that.
It's not the market.
The biggest problem with inventory being so short and the last few years being so competitive, buyers are now trained to look at homes and say this, oh, this home is priced that much. I can't buy it for less. I'm not used to negotiating. I'm used to multiple offers. That is literally, they are so accustomed to fighting for homes that they are not even, their mindset is not even, oh, I could probably pay less for that. They don't think that.
And I've even said, I believe this house is overpriced. We should, worth taking a look at. And it's their mindset, like you said, because they are so accustomed to the competitiveness that even to them, okay, even if, somebody comes in, I'm not going to have that $5,000 of wiggle room to, outbid. And they almost at that point want to wait a whole week for it to be on the market before they entertain it. Yeah. And then what position does that leave you in as a seller? Waiting a week, it's crickets, and then you dropping the price and the whole world asking what's wrong with your house when it was really nothing. You just overpriced it from the start.
I know. And I mean, you can, and I always tell people too, it's best we call it search box pricing. Okay. So you want to price your home at the nearest quarter. So think like people shop 700, 725, 750, 775, so on and so forth is usually what people's budget is. Nobody ever comes to me. And again, actually, I'm going on a listing appointment tomorrow. And one of their properties is priced at, I'm just going to make up the number. So one of the properties is priced at 809. And I'm like thinking to myself, 809? Why did you price your property at 809?
Some people have like a lucky number.
You've had this amount of market time. You were $9,000 away from your largest buyer pool.
Right.
You want to price at or below the nearest quarter. Now, in some markets, it's even important to keep in mind, again, and I think this is sometimes more applicable when you're in the luxury market. So you want to make sure there might be people looking at homes only priced $1.5 million to $2 million. Okay, that might be their price range. In that instance, you kind of have to watch what you price below because you don't want to also go a dollar short of where somebody might be putting a minimum price in. Okay, so there's just something to be cognizant of. I like the $699s and numbers like that because I do think that they're more palatable from like a mental standpoint.
It's obviously what, like if I were to list a house up $799.9, we're looking at $100 from having a 7 in front of it, but it's something psychological with buyers seeing that 6 versus the 7 to me. Yeah. I don't know.
So there is, again, I do also like the 99 number, but it is something to be cognizant of that depending on the market and where a lot of shoppers are shopping at, you do have to be somewhat aware that people will also have a minimum price in their search filters. So you kind of have to think about that as well. So okay, let's wrap it up then. And the main things in a pretty little bow.
Yes.
Okay.
The main things to pay attention to. So obviously your surrounding sales, and that goes for
comps are most important.
Yeah, comps.
Number one.
And you want
comps.
You want to look at comps that are recently closed. Of course, those are the most important. You want to look at the ones under contract and how long they took to get under contract, and you also want to look at the ones that are active because that is essentially going to be your competition in the market.
Yes.
And then also too, when it comes to overpricing, if you can say to me, which obviously it's confidential with me, but if you can look at your agent and be like, okay, I want to list for $850, but I would accept $800. That right off the bat is just, I want to be like, no, like, don't have that mindset. You need to know what is going on in the market, the conditions and everything, or else you're going to shoot yourself in the foot if you list too high. First impression is everything. What else?
I mean,
Market time's your biggest killer.
Market time is your biggest
Price drops obviously aren't a good look.
Cancels unrealistic.
And you also are running the risk of, just say that there is a buyer who's very uneducated who wants to buy your house for $50,000 more than it's worth. Okay, and what about when appraise is low? Like, there's still some more. It's like a two-step verification here. You have to sell your house twice, essentially. And it's like, if you list it super high, again, we're going to be running into problems at the end.
Low appraisals are not fun.
No.
And I mean, again, I have had appraisers, and I will take it to my grave, be so wrong, about appraised value. Yeah.
This is the thing with appraisers, in my opinion, is like, I've had ones that have completely screwed me, and then I've had ones that it's been like an absolute miracle. So it's just one of those things that they just balance out.
Well, and then that's the thing that people need to remember. The appraiser it is the opinion, and I will stand by this forever. It's the opinion of one person.
Yep.
It is a human. It is not like an automated algorithm. I mean, there is some automated numbers probably for it, but it is essentially a human.
We're gonna do a whole episode on appraisals. I feel like we've been saying that.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. So that's everything. The art and science on how to price your home. So tune in next time. Bye.
Bye.